As Sheila mentioned, our cafe is open to anyone who walks through the door regardless of ability to pay, and Tony had heard about it on the streets of Denver, and he walked in and he was a fairly rough-looking young homeless man. He'd clearly spent a lot of nights on the street, and he was a little ashamed and embarrassed, but he walked to the counter and he said, "I heard I could get something to eat here." And the volunteer who was working the counter started in on the spiel, which you heard Sheila give pretty well. You know, we serve mostly local food, it's all organic, made from scratch. We serve soup, salad, and pizza. You can pick from a menu. It's kind of counter service like Chipotle or Noodles, where you order and we make it up for you right then. You take the plate and you have a seat and you get yourself a drink. And Tony said, I don't have any money. And the volunteer was like, "It's okay, you can work in exchange. You don't have to make a monetary donation if you don't want to." And instantly, with shame in his eyes, he looked down at the floor and he said, "You don't want me back there." And he kind of stared at his dirty hands and his dirty clothes, and he was totally ashamed. And the volunteer handled it really well. She was like, "Yeah, we do. Libby, come up here." So I was managing the back, where volunteers are working, and so I walked to the front, and she introduced me to the gentleman and said that he was going to be working in exchange for his food. And he again said, no, you don't want me back there." And I thought to myself, like hell I don't. Do you see this pile of dishes? And I said, "Oh, no, you're totally fine. Why don't you eat first? You know, here's the bathroom key if you need to go clean up, and then we'll put you to work." And he kind of stood there, and he was like, "Really?" "Yes. We only have 2 employees. I need all the help I can get." So he ate, he ordered off the menu, ate his lunch, and came back up and said he was ready to work. So I put him to work. I gave him an apron, showed him the dish station, showed him how to wash his hands, and followed all the food safety guidelines and put him to work, and he worked for his shift. And he didn't say much. He was really quiet back there. I usually try to engage our volunteers and figure out how they heard about us or what brought them to SAME. And he was super quiet. And he just said thanks and left. And sometimes people come to SAME one time and I never see them again. And other times we become a lifeline for folks. And the next day, when Tony walked in the door, I greeted him and I said, "Hey, Tony." And his face lit up. And he said, "You remembered my name." "Yeah, you helped me out yesterday. You did all the dishes. Of course I remembered your name." And he ate, and he hopped back into the kitchen the next day, and the next day, and the next. And for a lot of people who are experiencing poverty, they're fairly transitional. They move around a lot. And so I could tell Tony's time in Denver was coming to an end. And one day he walked into the kitchen and he said, "Can I speak to the manager?" And I don't know if any of you have ever worked in the restaurant world, but "can I speak to the manager" is ultimate doom. It's terrible. It's the worst statement any customer can say to me. And I looked at him and I thought, what could he possibly be complaining about? Was there hair in his food? Was there a bug? And usually when someone says there's a bug in my salad, I say, "That's how you know it's organic." And I kept thinking over and over in my head, what could possibly have gone wrong? What did I do this week that offended him? What did we not do for him? Thinking of all the things that could have possibly gone wrong, because he wanted to speak to the manager. And he had, kind of this professional, bossy self going on. And I thought, okay, God, be with me here now. I kind of repeat this mantra to myself when I'm super nervous or super upset about something. I am Irish, Catholic, hot-headed. And so usually when anyone wants to complain about something at SAME, I defend it like a mama bear. And I'm trying really hard to control that part of myself and be professional and listen to people. So I'm repeating this mantra over and over to myself as I walk up to him, like, be here now, God, be with me. And I say, "Tony, what do you need?" And with the cheeriest face I can muster and like, "Please don't yell at me, please don't complain about anything." He said, I really want to sit down and talk with you." I thought, oh, what is he going to, I'm just thinking the worst. So we go into the dining room and we sit down, and over the course of about a half an hour, he tells me some horrific stories that he's experienced with life on the street, how he's been beaten to a pulp, all of his property stolen. He's just downtrodden and destitute and just doesn't know where to go and what to do. And he said to me, Thank you for treating me like an asset instead of a burden.